Hey guys, welcome back to Vince Bell Custom. So today we got sort of a nice surprise, and you may be wondering why am I showing this video now when I probably already did a lot of paint work on the item. But if you've been watching the paint series and a little bit of the later series in the custom work, you've been wondering if anyone's actually paid attention, what's been underneath the red cloth that's been throughout the item. And that's kind of the surprise, is I know a lot of people have been asking for an anime head on this statue, and I had no intention of doing an anime head at all. I just kind of like to do my custom statues where when you get the item and you kind of tweak it and you make it look like a different character. So at one point I did look for anime heads that might fit this statue that I could kind of use it to swap out. I never came across anything in scale. Everything was too small. And the other thing too is I really don't have the time to sculpt from scratch. I probably could if I really wanted to, but I got so many projects and commissions, I got to focus on them. That's more important. This is kind of like the side project. So a friend of mine who actually comes down once a month, we'll have a get together with him and a couple of the other guys. We're all into the statue hobby and stuff. We talk shop. My one friend sculpts during the day. I do some paint work. I help out the other guys that maybe need repairs, or if they want to start tackling some of their own projects, I kind of give them pointers, and we just have some fun. So my one friend who sculpted a Man-at-Arms statue, I'll link those videos in the description, and some Justice League characters. He got some others in the works. He goes by the World of Waynecraft. And he's pretty much the hero of this anime head for all you guys. So what happened was, he contacted me one day, and he's like, yo, why don't I sculpt an anime head for you? This way you can keep doing what you were doing, except I'm going to sculpt it in wax, so you got to make a mold and resin copy and all that. I said, well, if you really want to go ahead and do it, I say go for it, and I could do the switch out head. The only problem is it's going to take me a little bit longer to finish this project, because I can't do the anime head when this is already painted up, because if I mess up any of the paint work or I don't get everything colored correctly, it looks off. So I like to have everything done of custom work first, and then I go to paint work. So if you've been watching the series, underneath this red cloth, now this is, like I said, this is earlier stage. By the time this video is done and the statue's done, everything should be done, but this is kind of early. So underneath the red cloth is basically a little headstand that I came up with. So this is going to be a green pipe with an extra little Bowsette nameplate that's going to go on here as well. And then what's going to be able to happen is you'll have the extra head being able to be displayed in here. So it's look like she'll be coming out of the pipe. But this is the anime head. So I gave my friend some pictures. I told him how, like maybe we should do the mouth like so. And this is what he came up with. So this is sculpted in wax, and if you were to put this in the sun outside on a hot day, this would melt just like a wax candle. And you use a lighter and heat to kind of sculpt with it. So you can't actually sculpt this onto a statue because it's never going to paint and all that stuff. So what we have to do is we have to make a mold copy of it, and then we got to make a resin copy, and then I got to start doing all the skull work and the head, get it all flushed out on the body. And then I got to go back and do the hair, the horns, the crown, and go through it all over again. So that's the whole process of why this is sort of delayed, but I think in the end it's going to look really cool. But he did a really good job at the sculpt. It really paid off for the delay and how it was worked out. He did send me some pictures here and there, and I did some Photoshop tweaks for it just to kind of tweak some stuff. And I told him just focus on the face. Don't worry about the forehead, the sides, and all that. I'll tweak all that on my end with the ears and all that. So that's kind of what we came up with. So the idea is you'll be able to take this head off the statue and display the anime head. I'm pulling this at the wrong angle. And then basically her head will go onto it like that. So it's going to look like she's coming out of basically the pipe. Even though she's a large character, I can't make a huge pipe, You got to kind of make something small that's going to be able to hold it, but without going a little too crazy. So that's where we're at with this project. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like a fast video. We're going to try to finish this all in one video. I'm not going to go through everything all over again. So basically I'm just going to make the mold. We'll make the resin copy. I'll get it situated on the body with another metal rod so it's magnetized. And then basically I'm just going to go fast of sculpting the hair, the crown, the horns, get it all situated. And then I'll start the paint work once everything's going. But then you won't really see the anime head until the end. So I'm going to try to keep it hitting just to be a little bit of a troll and have some fun with the series. Only because a lot of people were really raging that they wanted an anime head. But I think it's going to pay out pretty cool. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go get situated now with building a box. We're going to put the anime head in there. We'll make the mold today, and then hopefully tomorrow we can make the resin copy, and then just start sculpting at nights and getting this all finished up for paint. Okay, we're going to create a swap out head base. Now, since the other head is being worked on, the idea is I went to Home Depot and I just got 2 PVC pipes, and I got to just grind this part down here, and then what I'm going to do is grind the inside in here so this kind of slides onto that pipe, and then I could just glue them, and then what I could do is I could start filling it in with like Durham's putty or something. We'll get to that. So this way this gets solid and filled in pretty well. The other thing too is so if you have one head on like so, because you can't have it too far up. You know, we got to try to center it, and we got to make sure both heads kind of fit in and out. So I have to have them both done before we do any fitting in here. But we want to make sure that when this is set, this hair doesn't kind of like topple it backwards. So I'm going to have to probably put like a little bit of a base around it down here just to kind of stop it from going backwards. But this is a good filler item for now too. What I could do is I could fill it in with other stuff. I got a lot of broken resin pieces I could fill in with the Durham's putty and just get this filled in as much as possible, and then also have like a small generic little base at the bottom. So that's kind of where we're at for like a nice, you know, change of head option, and then having a display head for the side. Alright, so I got a little bit of base here. This is actually just the bottom of a mixing cup. So whenever I used to do like those generic head base sculpts a while back, or any other kind of resin casting, whenever I have extra resin in a cup, I just let it sit at the bottom, and then I would just pop it out and take it and throw it in my box of parts, because you never know if something like this might come in handy. So it's just good not to waste any type of material, because you just never know. And plus, this could be used as a filler too. You can just, if you have to make a big generic base, you can take a couple of these pieces, throw it in there, and you could fill it up even more without using more resin. So it's just good to have extra stuff, because you never know. So I did some sanding down. I just got to do a little bit more cleaning up here and there, probably prime it. But I think this would be a good, like, you know, stand for this, so this way it won't topple and go over. So all I have to do is figure out how to get this attached onto it without it going, because you can't just glue it and then hopefully it's going to stay, because that glue is just kind of break right off, because this is PVC. So what I might have to do is, I'm thinking I might Dremel out like some holes and stuff in here. So this way, if I fill this in with resin, or if I fill this in with any kind of A's or something, it'll kind of bond it to better on it than just gluing it. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is I'll hit it, I'll make a quick circle. Like I'll just grab a tool, and then what I'll do is I'll just go around it and find the center. And then what I'll do is I'll hit it with a couple drills. Maybe throw some A's in there. Maybe I'll even kind of like grab a tool and kind of hit it in here a couple of times, just so like this isn't super smooth. So any kind of A's or anything that I put in here will grab onto it. So that's kind of what we're going to do now. Okay, so I went in the garage and I did Dremel tools going at certain angles, downwards, angles this way, and just kept turning it. So when the resin seeps into this, it's going to go all around and it's going to bond to this resin good. And what I did in here is I grinded up in different angles inside here. So now we have like teeth grabbing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little thin layer of glue, very thin, around here, just so I can glue this down and let it sit so it kind of seams up around the whole piece. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to mix up a couple resin. We'll pour some resin down in there, probably to about 1/2 inch, and just let it kind of go into all the crevices in the base and all the crevices around the PVC, and this should bond it pretty well, and it should stay in with no problem. Like I said, just by putting glue and gluing that down, thinking it's going to stay, it's not. I've run into this in the past too whenever I ever worked with PVC. Like even this top part here, like this glue that's around here is not really going to hold it. By throwing some like magic sculpt and A's around here when I get a chance, it'll bond it up pretty well and it won't come off. So that's just some things you have to think about whenever you work with PVC, because it's so loose and stuff. If this was like a piece of resin, you could probably get away with just kind of gluing it down and throwing some A's in there and it'll bond. But PVC is so smooth and stuff, you need something to grab the teeth with. Okay, so you can see the inside is just pure white resin. That's what the color of resin when it cures, unless it's like off yellow resin. All depends on what kind you get, but smooth on's always white. Now the black part down here is the same exact resin, except this has a lot of black dye in it from casting stuff. But they should bond up pretty well. The resin's going to definitely bond to there, and it's going to definitely bond it to there, so this piece isn't going anywhere. While I was working on it, I realized, I said, okay, let me give some more weight to this piece, just just to be secured. So what I did is I dropped a fishing lead weight in there that I picked up, that I just have a lot of fishing weight whenever I need to kind of make something heavy on one side. So I just dropped the weight in there, let it cure up. So now this is really heavy and it's not going anywhere. So we're going to kind of let this cure up for today. Then we'll do some prime work. We'll kind of clean up the edge underneath here. We'll do some sanding. We'll also pretty much get this set up for when we have both heads all done, because I want to see if maybe we have to kind of do like all black paint in here and then have the head kind of sit in a little bit, like the neck sits in a little bit more than the very top. So we got to kind of play with that when they're really done. But at least I could get this all prepped up and ready to go for when we need to focus on this part up here.